Look at this. There's everybody. I missed you, everybody. Hey, Jack, good to see you. Let's see, Ray Bonto, good to see you too. Walters, we're all here. Mary, welcome. Brian, oh, hi there. I didn't see you earlier. Brian, I'm going to make you a co-host here also. Thank you so much for being with us. We're just going to start off with some community announcements, and then we are going to, what we do usually with our Ask Jack session is people will write into the chat a question that they have, and then we'll problem solve that on screen. But today, Jack is going to ask Thea a question, and she's going to do some really cool stuff with us to get us going. You can also drop things into the chat, and we might be able to get to those as well, but there's going to be some neat stuff. So for community announcements, I am going to bring on my dear friend, Evea Moore, and my other co-host, Sir Brian Higginbotham. It's good to see you. And let's see if anybody's got any kind of relevant group announcements. Let's lead with that, and then I'm going to pose a question to you.
So actually, I'll let you go first, Brian. Go ahead with your group announcement.
Yeah, so this week, if you can't get enough of Evea today, Evea will be on our host on Saturday. She'll be talking about restoration work and how to nature journal and do conservation. So it's really exciting. That's it for me.
So, and I know that's confusing, but it's Evea on the Brian Show.
It's Evea on the Brian Show, 10 a.m. on Saturday, yes.
And so I just want folks to notice that the people in this community, we're here, we're supporting each other, and we're helping each other out in any way. If that sounds like fun and you want to get in and you also want to help with these, we'd love to invite you to participate, help us with hosting things. If you have classes or things that you want to lead and share with this community, we can help that happen for you. It's a really, really open, non-exclusive, fun, nice, swell bunch of people, and you might enjoy playing with them. So, Brian, thank you so much for doing that.
And then some other fun things that are going on is that if you attend Rebecca's writing workshop Wednesdays, that'll be tomorrow morning. And if you did the Rebecca birthday challenge where you went out and picked up some trash or did some kind of stewardship or kindness in the community and then wrote about it, tomorrow we get to share our writings with each other and with the birthday girl, Rebecca, and hear what kind of fun she got up to last week. So come join us, party with us, have a good time with us. If writing is something that is challenging for you, then that's okay. Join us, because that's part of what the workshop is about, is to help us explore writing and to feel more comfortable and just to practice. So join us. Everybody is invited. And then after that, we have the Nature Journal Educators Forum at noon tomorrow. So join us. We are a fun group as well. And then in the 6 o'clock in the evening, Marley Pfeiffer's Nature Journal show. I believe that it's going to be about fire. I think it's a video about a controlled burn, so that should be very fun. Yes, yes. Also very relevant because the warm season is beginning, so it might be good to listen to that now as well. And sort of fire awareness is a good thing, especially here in California. Thursday, we are back with Jack, and we get to talk about more botany stuff, about stems and positions of leaves on the stems. It should be so fun. And then Friday and Saturday, we have Pencil Miles and Chill with me, 9 o'clock Pacific time on Friday morning, and 3 o'clock afternoon Pacific time. So join me whenever you like. Brian in the morning. I think that this week Melinda is taking the week off, but I'm not sure. So you might want to double check her calendar at Spark and Nature, and also for all of her other fabulous classes. And I'm sure there's more shenanigans, but that's what I know. And I will put the link to Jack's community calendar with all of these into the chat, including the time for all of them. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And thank you for leading all those. Really fun to the opportunity to, so Evea has really pushed the envelope about the connection between nature journaling and stewardship. And so that conversation with Brian should be really, really interesting. I want to encourage people to put that on your calendars, make time for that. And thank you so much for doing that. So before we all got live here, you and I were just talking about what's up, what's up, what's up. And you shared with me some really fun stuff that was going on in your journal that you found really fun and easy to do and inspiring. And I was like, let's share that with everybody else. And so I'm going to disappear and invite you to take it away on the Tombow.
Okay, thank you. So for those of you who were here on Thursday, we had this very exciting class with Jack on using ballpoint pens and also Tombows. And I was watching the class and I thought that would make so much sense if I could just carry some tools like that when I'm doing my restoration diary. I'm out in the field a lot doing restoration work, at least like once a week, sometimes more. And I'm trying to keep track of everything that I'm doing out there. But it's sometimes difficult to take notes if you have a mattock in your other hand, or a miner's pick. And you'll hear more about that on Saturday with Brian.
I'm going to interrupt you for a second. Just everybody who is sketchnoting, I think we just had a crazy quote that you just dropped on us. It's sometimes hard to take notes if you have a mattock in your other hand. And I think that's a good one to write down. I just wanted to kind of highlight that. That's classic of it. Thank you. Please continue.
Thank you. And so I was watching Jack's class and I thought, the Tombows, it would make it so much easier to take certain restoration notes and to quickly illustrate if I'm out in the field, because watercolors are great. But if, like I said, if you are low on time and also, terrain's kind of weird, whatever, it can be hard to coordinate and balance. So I'm usually not one to go out and get supplies, but I did. And I promptly I looked up the Tombow color palette online, and I found the most muted greens I could because a lot of the foliage isn't super duper bright. And then I used them and it helped so much doing field notes or doing field illustrations with Tombows. So the yellow is from my watercolors, as is the purple, but all of the rest of the screen is from Tombow. All of it. And what I did was I drew on the side some color swatches of the Tombows that I got. So then that way it's easy to just hold it up to the plant and then say, oh, this plant looks like this color or a combination of these two. And I just found that it really, really helped. And one thing I love about this is that you can do anything that you intend to do with nature journaling. And for some of us, we can get really, really into a subject, and it's fine to just really immerse and spend a lot of time. And that's great for a lot of moments. And some moments you just have to be really fast in the field. And so whatever you can do to facilitate either of those processes for yourself is a good thing. And I found for me that I'm going to be taking more notes as a restorationist now that I have these Tombows with me, because I'll be able to take faster notes. So I'm just very, very thankful for that. And yeah, I'll just quickly, I was very happy about these Tombows. So yeah, Tombows can come in some really fun colors that aren't just all totally saturated. They can be very subtle colors. So highly, highly recommend. 10 out of 10. And that was all. Was there anything else I can share? Oh, I think you're muted.
Notice that collection of muted colors, right? And so the same thing with your colored pencils. I find the ones in my colored pencil collections, ones that get the shortest, the fastest, are those it's an odd, weird brown, green, gray color. And they get the one that's chartreuse is still big, but these muted colors, so that little that muted palette, there's 1,000,001 uses for those. And then once you wanted the bright yellow, you just could later on drop in a little bit of bright with some watercolor. But it's whatever medium makes it easy for you, whatever kind of makes this happen on your paper, that's the direction that we want to go. And that's really fun.
It is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
My pleasure.
All right. So we're going to take a look at a couple of different ideas here. One is we are kind of getting towards spring, and as spring is rolling on here. Oh, I got to say this before I forget it. What is happening tonight, everybody? Drop it into the chat like it's hot, because it is. Tonight, you gotta wake up in the middle of the night or early morning. What is happening? You know? All right, everybody watch the chat. Oh, yeah, Jody, that's right. That's right, Ivea. Lunar eclipse, right? The blood moon. Now, and every once in a while, the moon is closer to the Earth. And when that happens, they call it a supermoon. So could this be the super blood? Right. So here, Pacific time, maximum of it is at about 4 in the morning. So I'm going to be getting up a lot before that, observing, sketch noting that, and getting increasingly groggy. So I'll be like no fun at all on the Wednesday workshop. But the I want to document that in my journal, and you might want to check that out as well. That's going to be fun. That's going to be really, really fun. So super blood coming your way tonight, which reminds me of butterflies. So let's take a look at drawing some butterflies. And if we have time, we're going to take a look at some strategies for, ooh, there's a rare bird. And how I might want to document some notes about that, both to help me record it, document it, remember it, and be able to report that. How can I see more and also communicate that with other people? You know, the bird committee people are really pretty serious about, like, if I saw a quetzal in my backyard here, they would ask for some evidence. And here's we're going to think about how to turn your nature journal into evidence, and some things we can do that can mess up our evidence. But first, the butterfly. Someone's asking, hey, I want to draw some butterflies. I'd love to draw some butterflies. The problem with butterflies is they fly away. And so you get closer to the butterflies, and then the butterfly flies away. So what can you do about that? Well, thing number one is you want to get close to the butterflies. Try the Pentax Papilio binoculars. So Papilio binoculars, Papilio means butterfly. And so these are your best butterfly watching binoculars. They allow you to focus on something that's 1.5 feet away from you. That makes a butterfly, or 0.5 meter, a butterfly all of a sudden is this big, and you get to see all the details without getting in the butterfly's personal space. When a butterfly is nectaring at a flower, they're kind of be in their butterfly business, and they're doing their butterfly thing, and they're not thinking, I got to fly away from this one. So with the close focus binoculars, you can get your sneak on up to the butterfly, and then take a good look at it. Now you get a good look at it. What you want to be doing while you're looking at the butterfly is saying out loud all the details that you see about the butterfly. This looks this way, this looks this way, there's 1, 2, 3. You're counting things, you're kind of getting a general sense in your head, and then you want to put that down on paper. I find if I just look at the butterfly, I look down at my paper, my brain is blank. So that's why I verbalize my observations. I do the same thing with birds. I talk to the bird. I say all the things that I notice and appreciate and I love about the bird. And then that helps it hold it in my brain, and I can get it down on a piece of paper. So now we want to put some lines on paper. I'm going to show you, for me, what is kind of my strategy for getting that butterfly onto my piece of paper. And first, we're going to do a kind of cooperative butterfly doing this. All right. And then we're going to do one with wings kind of up at a weird angle, and look at what that looks like. Here we go. I am going to jump over to so butterfly pops up in front of you. I am going to zoom this. Here we are. Butterfly pops up in front of me. And I want to get that butterflyness down.
the first thing I'm looking at is the general shape of this butterfly. And I like to think of butterflies as essentially a triangle. So some butterflies, when you kind of go from, here's a T. So I'm going to start with a T, and then I'm going to make a triangle out of that. And some butterflies have very long wings, some have shorter wings. So this angle right here is going to change. So for some butterflies, it's like that. For other butterflies, it's going to be like this. Essentially, think of butterfly shape as roughly a triangle with the bottom cut off. So is it a long pointy one? Is it less of that? So let's say, for the sake of butterflying, that I've got something that is roughly like that. All right, this is a long one. Perhaps that's sort of what you would often see, say, with a swallowtail. They've got very long wingtips. What's going to happen is you have the forewing, the top wing sits on top of the hind wing. And so at about here and here, this whole part up here is going to be the forewing. And the hind wing is then tucking down below that. If this is a swallowtail, then it has extra little appendages dangling down here. Its body is hanging out here in the center. You often don't see the abdomen because it gets covered up by the wings, but you may see it, right? Or sometimes you'll see a little triangle as those wings are kind of coming in there and covering that up. Antennae stick out straight. And what I find on real live butterfly is these antennae tend to be really, really straight. When entomologists kill butterflies and pin them and put them in their collections, one of the things that they often do is, if they get really fancy, they will take the antenna and bend them up in these little sweeps like this, because it looks pretty to them. And so sometimes people kind of get those kind of curvy antenna in their butterfly drawings because they're looking at a specimen. But I tend to see straight antenna going out on live butterfly, which is what we're drawing. In this one, I drew them too long. Antenna go out straight, and there's a little ball at the end. So if I am drawing, let's do another one. So I start with the T, because butterfly starts with the T. And then I'm going to make this one not as long. So this is a longer body. So that kind of blocks in that butterfly shape pretty quickly. So I've got a butterfly wing here, another butterfly wing right there. I'm going to see a little bit of that thorax that looks kind of hairy in here, sometimes a bit of abdomen. The head is fairly long, and then the antennae come out from that. This forewing can have some different shapes to it. Sometimes there's a step in it, and you'll see that kind of there's an end, and then it steps down, and then it comes down. Other butterflies, you'll see this, it's sort of more of a, just sort of a smooth thing, but look for that step. That's a good thing to look for. And as I mentioned before, in the hind wing, some have those tails, if it's a swallowtail. So that's my first target, my first objective when I'm looking at the butterfly. I want to get the rough shape. And then while the butterfly is still around, I am going to focus on only adding details on one half of the butterfly. Why do that? So I'm out there in the field
and I am, why would I focus on just half of the butterfly? Give me a thought and drop it into the chat. Ah, that's right. It's going to fly away soon, says Mary. So Aisha says, and they're symmetrical. So if I get this side down, I can copy it over to this side anytime I want. So, but if I'm kind of trying to do both at the same time, then I might just get partway through the front wings and I'm going to miss the rest of the stuff there. So I focus just on one half of my little friend, the butterfly, and I'm a happy camper. So now I want to point out one challenge here. or not so much a challenge, but something to look out for. If I am a butterfly collector, I'm a butterfly collector. Actually, for this, I'm going to jump over to a Google image search for butterfly. And I'm going to share that with you. So we're now going to a Google image search. I've typed in butterfly, and here comes butterflies. Yay, butterflies. All right, there's a lot of butterflies. So look at this butterfly position right here. See that? Isn't that pretty? There it is. That is a very dead butterfly. This is in the position that entomologists pin butterflies in. So the entomologist catches the butterfly. These two wings would be down pressed against each other, so you wouldn't be seeing the black part. And this front wing would be down lower, but so that they want for the entomologist wants to be able to see all of this wing surface and all of this wing surface. So they get pins and they pull these wings up and forward, and these ones up and forward, so that you get this, so that the trailing edge of this forewing cuts right across the middle here. So it makes this nice T shape. That is the entomologist's dead butterfly in the collection. Right? That is not the live butterfly in the bush. So the live butterfly, look at what the T does. It's not the back wing that is making the T. So look at down in this one here, right? So this one, here's the entomologist's one. The back wing is across the T bar. The live butterfly, the front of the wing is the front of the T. You see that? And so the wings are overlapped on each other. So a lot of, look at this morpho over here, right? So you can't see the black part. I can't see the black part because they're squished down against each other. But in this one here, I can, right? So that, if I want to draw a butterfly that looks dead, here it is, fully spread wings. I see all the detail. Or here, woof, there's a very dead butterfly. But for my live butterfly, sometimes they will bring their wings a little bit forward. Like look at this one, it's not a straight up T. This one has got it's up and a little bit forward. So not full T, but we're not doing this. And look how excited we are. Oh boy. So when if I am, yeah, look at this here. Look at that. See, that's live butterfly position. But sometimes illustrators will, I've seen in a lot of books where they'll have the butterfly, a drawing of the butterfly flying around in the garden or sitting on a bush, and its wings are in the dead butterfly position. So we don't have to make that same mistake. Oh, no, we don't.
So I'm going to focus on just one half of the wing. Let's see. I'm going to pull up a butterfly. What are those ones called? So I am going to make a sort of show you some other kind of markings that often you will see on a butterfly wing. So general things to look for. One are on the hind wing, you will often see eye spots. So it's fun. You'll sometimes see big spots down here. And sometimes you'll get spots on the other wings as well. But look at those spots, sort of map their position relative to each other. You also are often going to see that close to the edge, there will be some little border, right? Is there a white border? And sometimes there's a white border with a dark edge to that white border. So when you see those sorts of things, you know, that's a regular feature of butterfly wings, and so just a good thing to look for. Very often you will also find vertical spots in the wingtips like this. So those can be white, those can be red. But whatever they are, I'm going to map those. And what I usually do is let's say there are white spots, but it's surrounded by black. I will draw in the shapes of those spots. So let's say I've got a wing, it's coming like this. And I will say, all right, I'm going to have, all right, there are two red spots. I'm going to put RD for red. And there are, if there are small spots that are, whatever's the smallest shape, I look at that as the shape. So if there's, say, a pale yellow spot, I'm going to draw that in. If there's a large area of, say, dark on this wing, but most of it is light, it's often easier to sort of notice the shape of the light spots. So I'm looking at the shape of whatever those light spots are on that wing. And then the rest will be sort of the dark matrix of the wing. So I'm going to map in those spots. You can add little notes in for putting in their colors. When I'm putting in color notes, my little shorthand for that is I use 2 letters for colors. So if I put in the first letter, then I couldn't tell the difference between blue, black, and brown. If I put in the first 2 letters, then I could tell brown, but I couldn't tell the difference between black and blue. Similarly, green and gray would be the same. And so if I put in 2 letters, the first and second letter, then I confuse myself on my letter codes. So what I usually do is my 2-letter codes for putting kind of quick notes on birds and on butterflies is I'll do the first and the last letter. So black would be BK. Blue would be BE. Green would be GN, and gray would be GY. Red would be RD. So I'll often use that sort of a system for putting in my kind of quick color notes. Then the cute little butterfly goes away, and you get to run around and play.
You can copy it over to the other side if you want, but you don't have to. If you are by that time kind of curious about the next bright, shiny object that you're seeing out there, go with that. One last note here. And for this, I'm going to jump back to the screen share. I've done a search for Swallowtail Butterfly. And so those are those ones with a nice sort of tigery, stripy things going on. Look at what happens with a swallowtail butterfly. Oh, come on, let's make that larger. Yep. So here is a stamp of one, and notice that, whoa, sorry. Oh, I see how this works. All right, notice that this black stripe doesn't line up with the bottom black stripe there. In this position, in this spread wing position, these lines are kind of, there's this weird thing. These are going this way, these are going this way. But look at what happens. Oh, I don't need a stamp, but thank you. When the butterfly is a real butterfly on the bush, this stripe in this wing lines up with the stripe in this wing when it's in its normal position. Isn't that neat? So if I am drawing my swallowtail, and I've got my body coming down in here, a little bit of a head sticking out here. I can look at this line here to place that stripe and that stripe here. And then I have some other stripes coming in here. Big, bold bar along the side. But then I can get in there and say, that is my stripe. Isn't that cool? We're also going to take a quick look at wing venation. So these are diagrams of the wing venation in a bunch of different butterflies. And you see there's some real similarities between these. There will be differences, you know, one butterfly to another, but the general pattern is going to hold up. Notice that in the top and the behind wing, there's a large oval cell near the front edge. And then there are smaller veins that come off of that cell. Let's look at a different one. We see the same thing, large oval cell and smaller veins that come off of that. This front edge of the wing here maybe mostly hidden by the upper wing, but I'm seeing the same thing here. There's a big cell with all these veins coming out, right? So if I try to map these vein for vein, I might go nuts in the field because it's, you know, you've got your binoculars up to your eyes, the butterfly is moving. The exact positions of these veins may be hard to see, as in this wing down here, right? So, oh, it's not going to show us anything. So the dark and light patterns may show up better, but you'll see those wings kind of crossing across it. Knowing that that big cell is down there is going to be really helpful. Let's see. That's just a little bit too pixelated to be of much use to me. So, but if I'm going to just remember quick and dirty butterfly wing veins, and so, notice here from this diagram that when you are looking at, different butterflies, there are going to be, there is variation in what you'll see in the exact patterns of these veins, but the rough pattern is going to hold. In all of these, there's a big cell, veins stick out from that, and then there's one on its own. So let's just stop that share and just say that, all right, I've got, veins that come out here to the tip. I have a big vein, I've got a big cell, and I have veins that come off of that, and then there's one more that is on its own. On a butterfly wing, if I can't see those veins, I don't draw those veins. But sometimes it's helpful to sort of remember that there's a big cell with veins coming off of it. And, so then there's going to be the same thing happening down here. There's going to be a big cell and veins coming down off of it. With birds, if there's details that I can't see on the bird, I usually don't draw those details. The same thing with the butterflies. If I can't really see those veins on the wing, I don't really include those, because otherwise you get this thing with all these veins all over the wing, but it doesn't really look like that bird. It reminds me of sort of like when I first started learning how to draw bird wings, I would draw in every feather on the wing because I knew that it should be there. And I was getting these bird wings that just looked like these sort of weird scaly masses of, because I was putting in all the feathers that, I knew should be in those places, instead of kind of generalizing and showing the plumage or what details I really would be able to observe from that point. So don't get lost in these, right? They probably think the song is about them, so. That is a little bit with butterflies. Let's now take a look at a little bit with a bird pops up in front of you, and you're like, oh my goodness, what on earth is this? Or I need to document this for my records, right? This may be, Vultures is out there, and a bird pops up on the breakwater, and oh, what on earth is going on here? I've got to document this. So what you want to do is first start with good observation. And you want to, if it's possible to get corroboration on this, great. So call your friend over, look. And both of you start saying out loud whatever features you see. And I think it's useful to kind of do just sort of a bird diagram where you're going to sort of think of mapping in as carefully as you can the patterns that you see. So I remember with my sort of bird drawing approach, I often start with just what is the line of the back. I block in its head, and what is the angle under its throat. I block in its belly. If this is going too fast, this is, you can see other videos that we've made of kind of this approach to drawing birds. But then on this, you want to make a careful labeled drawing of the patterns that you see. If there's lots of detail on the head, you can make a larger head. Right?
Could you move over the...
Oh, thank you.
Or a little bit more, sorry.
So the whatever you're seeing there on the head, there's a little spot underneath here, there's a little bar coming over here, there's a bar coming down here. Whatever your marks are, you want to document what you saw and what you think you saw.
add in written color notes. Another useful thing is if it does give you, front views, right? You can give yourself a front view, but just sort of think of this as sort of diagram style. And you're going to make a labeled drawing showing what details you can. Now, for this, so here's a general strategy, and I'm going to write this in bold letters. This is my new nature journaling idea. I'm very excited about it. It is show and tell. So I don't just want to have an observation that I've made. Like, let's say it has 2 wing bars. I'm going to draw those in, and I'm going to write 2 wing bars. Right. Anything that I can put in. Let's say it's got the primary coverts are dark. I'm going to draw a line to that, dark primary coverts. If you didn't really carefully observe part of it, like let's say you really didn't see the details of how long the tail was, leave that part of your drawing kind of generalized and loose. You can even write in, didn't carefully observe the tail. So is this tattling on yourself? No, this is just trying to make this as clear as possible about what information you got from the real critter and what you and what you didn't get. You don't have to make sort of a perfect portrait of it. And now here's the most important thing. Do not do this. Hold on a second. Don't do this. Okay, yeah, there we go. I'm backing up. I don't want to open up a field guide, find out how it should look, and copy those details into there. Once I've got this out, my brain has now an idea of how this bird should look. The danger now is I might draw the bird in the book rather than the bird in the bush. So this is kind of when it's a high stakes observation. I am going to, I want to make sure that I am not tainting my observations. So I'm going to make all these observations. And then at some point, I want to check things out in my book. I'm now going to check things out in my book. And they go like, oh, right? Oh, I get it. It should have a yellow eye stripe and white under the eye, and then yellow in the malar. All right, I'm going to look back at my bird and see if it has these things. But especially when you think you know what it's supposed to be, really start looking for evidence that it isn't. So don't look to confirm your observation, look to disconfirm. Because very often, if you're like, yeah, it's definitely this, your brain will turn it into that for you. So what you can do then is try to sort of find reasons that it is different than the bird in the book. So do you see what I'm doing with my brain? I'm trying to disconfirm this identification. And then in addition to that, as I now continue to draw it, I'm not going to draw that over here while looking at the field guide. I'm going to make, now the bird pops up again, and I'm going to say, all right, little birdie, I'm going to get a new sketch of you going over here. And I am going to make a note that all these notes over here, these notes were taken without reference to any field guide. These ones were made after that. And so if I'm going to put a feature onto this bird, I want to make sure that I'm really seeing it on my bird and not just seeing it in the field guide. So that's the kind of the key point. A few other things that are helpful with these notes, just kind of other fun views with warblers warblers here in the United States. Look at, you're underneath the trees and you're looking up at the underside of the bird. So draw these little kind of bird butt views. What is it like? Is it light along the edges? Is it dark down here? And then light up here? Right? What is the pattern that you see on the underside? So if the bird is showing you a non-conventional view, you can get these sorts of things. And that feels a little bit Frankenstein because I've got, this little piece of this bird over here and this little piece of this bird over here. But that's actually really good. It gets me out of bird portrait mode. When I'm thinking bird portrait mode, I think I need to finish this bird, and I'm going to try to make the bird look like a bird. Here I'm thinking about recording data that I saw. So for your bird record, I want to be wary of turning the bird into what I want it to be. So again, I'm trying to disconfirm. I'm looking for little pieces of that bird, and I'm going to show and tell. That means if I see that it has a dark eye line, I'm going to put that dark eye line into my bird, and I'll draw a line to it. I'm going to write dark eye line. So I'm going to show and tell. In addition to this, a description of any vocalizations or behaviors that it has can also be really useful. So where is it? Is it on the ground? Is it in the bush? Is it flicking its tail? So if the bird is flicking its tail, right? So if it kind of pumps it up fast and then down slow, I'm going to document that in my book. So I'm going to write, up fast, down slow. If this is the axis of the bird here, here's its head, is the tail moving in this axis just up and down, or is it flicking out to the side, right? So you can make a little diagram to show those sorts of things. So subtleties in behavior are useful. Don't just draw a bird on a bush because you're used to drawing birds on a bush. If this is a bird that's on the ground, I'm going to draw it on the ground. So where is it? And in addition to that, it's useful to have a description of its sound. So don't look in the book at the way that it is supposed to sound, but record in your own words, in your own way, the vocalizations that you hear. I've got some videos out, one recent one with the Nature Journal connection where I talk about sort of transcribing bird song, but very quickly, my approach to that is if the bird is making, say chup, 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 I'm going to go chup, chup, chup. I'm going to go with my hand, chup, chup, chup. And then I say out loud, whatever it is, I try to come up with words to it, chup, 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 right? And then I'm going to say chup. chup, chup, chup. They're all the same pitch, all the same violent sound. And that's done that in about 1.5 seconds. It's low pitched. It's harsh. As opposed to, is it high pitched? Is it musical? So I'm going to give descriptions of it. And so any description that I can on my own of the vocalization, these can, so I want to pay attention to the song, also to the calls. So the calls are those simpler little sounds. In some birds, it's not going to be diagnostic. In some birds, the fact that it was a 2-syllable note, GD, GD, as opposed to a J, is going to make a huge difference. So if it's GD, GD, GD. All of those can help me document what I see. The reason we get into trouble is because people will want to make a good drawing of the bird. And so what we will tend to do is we'll have some field notes, and then we see the bird. We then change our field notes to match the bird in the book, or even do that after it's flown away, just to make it look like a better Carolina Red. And instead, I want to keep whatever notes I got in the field, whatever notes I got in the field and while looking at books. I can bring all those things together. And if this drawing doesn't really look like the bird, that's okay. Remember, I've got words in there to help describe it. It's better to have a sketch that doesn't look quite right to you, but was the best you could do in the field at that time, than one where you later on get in there and add in all these details to really make it look like the right bird. So I'm going to tell you all a quick story. I was a college student in Berkeley, and I was walking across the UC Berkeley campus, and yes, I had my nature journal with me. So I would bring, it was always in my backpack, going back and forth from one class to another. I'm running around with my nature journal, and I'm walking along, and I look up in this tree next to me, and there is this sort of dullish, olivey green backed bird with a bright yellow throat. And I thought to myself, oh, wow, it's a yellow throat, which is a marsh bird. So might have been a tip that this would be way out of its range. This yellow throat was hanging out in an ornamental tree next to the Life Science building. So I got out my journal and I made detailed notes of it, and I drew this, and I wrote some notes down, did several different angles of it. I was really, really happy about that. And then I went home and I opened up my bird books and I looked at them and I went, boy, did I get this bird wrong. My notes here, this looks nothing like a yellow throat. How could I have gotten it so wrong? I gotta fix this. And so I went to work on this drawing, and I fixed it, and I made it look like a really good yellow throat with a black raccoon mask, a little white line above it. I put in all the details, and it now looked like a good yellow throat. And I thought, wow, boy, I gotta learn to observe better.
Well, very next day, I'm walking across right past next to the same little ornamental bush, and I look up, and there's my yellowthroat. And I look up at the yellowthroat, and it looks nothing like the bird that I changed it into. It looks like what I had originally in my field notes. And so what I was looking at was an Audubon's warbler, a female in sort of more muted plumage with a bright yellow throat and some olivey on it and some browns. And that's how my bird looked. That's because it was not a yellow throat, totally out of range. It was an Audubon's warbler. And so that day, I decided that I'm never again going to fix my field notes with by drawing over them with reference from a different source. That those field notes are valuable. They're my firsthand impressions of what I'm really seeing there in the field. And if I get something wrong in that, that's okay. They're going to be my best impression of what I'm seeing. And if I want to, I can then look at a field guide and kind of go like, oh, it should be different. I'm going to now make a drawing over on the side, and it's going to be a different drawing than this other one. And I don't need to fix that first one to make it look like what it should be. And this means that there are some of my drawings that have inaccuracies in them, and that's okay. But that's better than me morphing one bird observation into another. And I also then have a document. I've got a record of, this is what I saw in the field. This is what it says in the book. Now kind of going back, I can see that. It helps me learn from my mistakes. It helps me look more precisely. And so you don't need to make your drawing look like the bird in the book. Your firsthand field notes are a primary record of your experience out there, and let it be that, and it's going to be okay. The more you do this, the more you'll be able to kind of hold in your visual memory, and the skill will get better and better and better. And but keep it fun. Get excited. If you notice something and it's different than what it's showing in the book, sometimes the birds are different than the book. My dear old friend Rich Stalcup used to say, when the bird and the book disagree, believe the bird. And that's our lesson for today. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to jump over to our community room, and if anybody has things that they'd like to share with us, you can. I'm going to start with Avea. I see you here on my screen, and I'm going to spotlight you if I can.
I can help. I spotlight.
And there we are. You're now. No?
My fault. I did that.
We both did it at the same time. There you go.
Thank you. So, okay, so I know I showed this a little earlier, but I wanted to say something about the actual info on the page, just because your talk about butterflies made me think of it. So I'd gone in on a Saturday, which is unusual for me for my restoration. I'd started out with some poison hemlock, but the ground where I was pulling it from was very impacted. So luckily my supervisor said I could go somewhere else to do work until we came back with the right tools for the job. So I was sent over to take care of a little mellow lotus patch, which is yellow sweet clover, by the Vista. And I went, and if you've been in my botany classes, you'll know how excited this makes me. I saw that there were 4 different little species of the family Fabaceae all growing in the little area together. And I was like, oh my God, it's a Fabaceae party. And at first I was thinking, could there actually be all these 4? Like, are my eyes deceiving me, or do I actually know how to tell these guys apart? And so there was the mellow lotus here. There was the burr clover here. There's the vetch here. And then this is the one that got me shocked and excited. There was the deerweed. Now, these first 3 are ones that we have to pull out, but the deerweed, That's one I'd been looking for a long time, mostly because I wanted to take a picture for the botany class. And also because this little plant here, this little, like, very, very easy to overlook, beautiful plant was the former favorite flower of the Xerxes butterfly. And if you've heard of that term, if you've heard of the Xerxes Society, then so you know it's named after a beautiful little blue butterfly that used to live in San Francisco and maybe some surrounding areas until I want to say it was either the 1940s or the 1920s. I want to say it was the 1940s when it was last spotted fluttering around the dunes. And historically, it's known as the first butterfly species to go extinct that we noted going extinct directly from human activities. So it's a very sad legacy that we have, and that's why the Xerxes Society is named such. So finding this right here made me feel a shiver and also made me feel really happy that its favorite plant is still around. Also because there's a lot of other butterflies that love this particular flower. And so I was thinking somewhere Xerxes is smiling right now. And so that got me excited. And then another thing is that it led to a ton of questions for me. Usually I'll go after plants that are really, really rigorous, like the Cape ivy. And so I look at something like oxalis as being annoying, yeah, but not nearly as much of a big deal to me as the Cape ivy. But something occurred to me. I don't know, I mean, these are all just questions, but now I'm wondering, do plants compete for pollinators? If the butterfly is trying to get to the deerweed, but the deerweed is surrounded by mellolotus and others, then does it have problems finding the deerweed? And so now I have questions, so many questions, and I'm excited about this, especially because of Brian's recent talk on yellow. And so I'm wondering if there's a ton of different yellow flowers, and does that confuse pollinators? So now I have questions. That makes me happy. And I probably wouldn't have really gotten a chance to think about it or write it down if it hadn't been for nature journaling while in the field. Also decided to start a little rainy day task list for myself because I've decided that all of the plants with the taproots need to be my priority when it rains, because then it will be easier to get through the impacted ground. And I can't believe I didn't think of this sooner. So that that's all for right now. But just thank you, Nature Journaling, for getting me to ask better questions and more exciting questions than I would have otherwise. And I'm looking forward to observing for the answers.
That is really fun, and I love that seeing that flower gave you a little shiver in your spine. Yeah. You know, it's those kind of, it reminds me of connections that we make. It reminds me of really, it's for creative thinking, that it's also for building relationships with things. Yeah. And that's beautiful that you had that reaction to it. And again, thank you so much for the stewardship you're doing out there in the dunes.
My pleasure. I'm happy to. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's jump across the ocean to Latvia. Walters, it is good to see you. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Thank you. So, thank you so much for today's lesson. The both subjects were very useful because now a lot of butterflies are starting to come up, and I'm also, since I kind of know the birds around here, I'm looking for something else to look at, and we have a lot of flowers here in the nature reserve we have. So butterflies is also kind of one thing that I'm getting more and more interested in, and the birds, those are also very useful because we have like quite a tight birding community here, and if you see something rare, you really need a picture. But I want to try to get just by drawing the bird and describing it with words to be able to prove those rare species that I saw them. So this is just a one flower that I drew from my window because there are a lot of ticks right now in our meadow that we have. So I drew this from my window. This is a pretty rare flower we have here. It's protected, so very interesting colors on this one.
Ah, really muted colors.
Yeah, muted a lot. like green, olivey, yellow, a bit of pink and white. So very
And
very
then white
interesting.
on the tips there.
Mhm.
Oh, that's really
It,
interesting.
it is a, I think it's in English, it's called the tulip. Might be something like that. Wild tulip, yeah. So that was very interesting. And about the butterflies, also I was yesterday we were gone out and I just drew this butterfly and I didn't know how to draw it fully, and so I just kind of basically did just a bit of the wing to get all the markings down that it had. That was the main priority.
Oh, maybe we can, in a subsequent class, we can do butterfly side view, because they often will fold their wings up
Yeah.
in this view, and we can play with that. It's really neat to see the way you're branching out and exploring all these different areas of biodiversity. What are the wildflowers? What are the butterflies? For a lot of people will kind of get initially hooked to nature, either by looking at birds or looking at flowers. But then as you develop in your ecological thinking, your appreciation for all these other parts of the ecosystem that you're in come into play. This is really, really great to see.
Yeah, butterflies is something that's starting to catch my attention, and also other insects. It was I'm still I still have school and we have these online classes, but you don't have to attend the online classes, like you aren't required to be in them. So I joined a biology class that I had last week, and I was the only one that joined. It was just me and the teacher, and he kind of had a topic prepared, and I just said, well, I watch birds, and and he's very interested in bumblebees. So we spent a good hour talking how to identify bumblebees. So that was also very interesting.
Isn't that fun? When you find somebody who's really passionate about a topic, then you have an opportunity to explore with them, like, what is it about these that really, really gets you excited? So if there's somebody who loves bumblebees and you get them going off on bumblebees, you actually come away from that experience kind of going like, I love bumblebees. Bumblebees are really cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad you got your teacher off topic. That's really cool.
He was very excited. He's like one of the guys who, if a rare bumblebee is spotted in the other side part of the country, he just hops in a car and comes to see it. You know, he's that enthusiastic.
Yeah, enthusiastic. Yeah.
Yeah, enthusiastic. Yeah. So it was very interesting. We just he showed me how to identify the bumblebee. So yeah.
That's great. That's really fun. Yeah, I remember I took a class on spiders, and partway through the class, two things changed. One was that I just started seeing spiders everywhere, and they weren't really on my radar. And I just realized that, wow, I had like bird blinders on. I'm gonna look for my birds, and then I'm like spiders. And then I hung out with the instructor enough that by the time it was done, I became, a spider geek. And I just loved going and watching spiders. And they're really, really fun. It's neat when there's kind of a little window of biodiversity opens for you. So when you find somebody and they've got a specialist, and they're a specialist, and nobody wants to talk to them about their bumblebees, and you talk to them about their bumblebees, they will go crazy on the bumblebees and open up that whole world for you. It's awesome.
Yeah, it was very interesting. So I have also a last class of the year with him this week, and he said, well, if you want, we can talk about butterflies. So fingers crossed.
This is good.
Yeah.
But maybe in a future class, I'll set up a Tuesday. a Thursday class on butterflies, and have some materials prepared for kind of side views of butterflies, and also 3/4 view of butterflies, when the wings are kind of, sometimes they'll rock the wings out like that, and then they'll sit at an angle to you, so you see part of this wing and part of this wing. And the perspective on those, I've got a couple of tricks that you also might.
Yeah, and one last thing, I also I bought my mom a journal, and she's been doing for like half a year.
Okay, yeah, 2 months.
2 months, 2 months. So she's just been drawing. She's not really nature journaling. If she just sees something that she likes in nature, she draws it. So I'm trying to get her to do that. There are some of from classes, like we drew these on tone paper, so she kind of put them in. She's just too shy to come on here.
Hi,
Yeah,
Mom.
she wants me to show. Yeah, so these are just some of the classes I dropped her flower, but she's just been also kind of, this is a part of moss that we found, and very interesting colors on this one. So
Yeah, are those different layers kind of going deeper into the
no,
moss?
yeah, this is like kind of the bottom, and this is the green top, and it just had these different like kind of tones of browns in it, and yeah, it was very soft, so an interesting kind of
I like the way you described that, Mom. That makes it's interesting that when you just sort of would walk over it, you'd see like, oh, this is green. But by showing that structure, I wonder how old that layer cake is, to kind of get down to the bottom.
Yeah, how old has it? Yeah, how much time it has till it's grown. And here are just your botany classes, that curling leaves and iris, when we drew the iris. Yeah, so just, I got a student now.
Oh, it's a slippery slope. And I recognize that lighthouse from one of your...
Yep, I had it here. I had it also in my journal. We both journaled this, and some of the Yosemite National Park and the fish that we drew. So yeah, proud of my little student.
Hey, Mom, it's nice to meet you. And also, I just want to tell you how much this community loves having an opportunity to meet and to get to know vaulters, and the nature observation and the stewardship that you all are involved with is inspiring to all of us. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. I'm going to jump over to my the gallery view, and Ray Bonto. Let's jump over to London and see what is happening there. Good to see you.
Yeah. So, today I just did this. These days I've learned to use my sock. I've got by the habit of using the sock so that my pages aren't so messy. I still do swatches, so but those are test swatches. But I don't know where they.
Good to see what the colors are like before they hit the paper, before they hit the drawing there. Yep.
Yep. I don't know where they came from because I don't remember painting them. But I probably because I was working on another drawing in the meantime. When you made a break, I just was working on an incomplete drawing from my nature journal, which I will share just now. So this is the butterfly bit.
I like it. Are butterflies out in London?
Rarely. Hey, by the way, your spider class, was it by Patrick Landstill?
It wasn't. I don't know. Is that somebody I should look for as a spider teacher?
Well, he taught at California Wildlife Day. It was really nice. Well, we rarely have butterflies. The ones we see are one color, not very colorful. Yeah. And so today I saw this strange seagull or something of that sort. This was the drawing I was working on.
Tell me a little bit more about what you observed. Let's hold it still so we can. I like the way you're sort of using the values and colors of the toned paper to show shadows and the form in this. And with something that you really get a sense of those modeled feathers and form. That's really cool. What made this this gull really stand out to you?
I look here at the wing and look at the head. Yeah, and the neck was with stripes, and its wings were brown. I mean, the primaries were brown. I remember all the details, so why not put it in?
Oh, that's great. This reminds me of. Did I ever show you the Lars Janssen drawings of gulls? This really kind of brings me back to that, and also just that little bit of gouache you have going over the back there. I get the sense of the light on the back of it.
Yes, I was using. Well, my gouache was running out in the field. I use it so much that it runs out pretty quickly. So I had very little gouache, so that's why this pale white is all gouache. The strong one is white pencil because I didn't have the place for gouache, but don't have gouache, use white pencil.
I like that variation, and I like that the color of the paper is really showing through. You're really enjoying carefully looking at those mottled feathers. A lot of people, when they see something with this kind of modeling on it, they get scared and they back away from it. Like, oh no, like I want to draw a robin that has clear, crisp colors in specific places, and this is a modeled thing. And so I don't want to mess with it. But this is in praise of dappled things, and that's wonderful to see.
You see, there were brown stripes along here and gray stripes there, and the back was covered with pale stripes. And I could make out its, what do you call that, eye patch or something, ear patch.
The ear patch, the auricular, the ear patch. That's right.
Yeah, I don't usually draw it because I don't usually see it, but here it really stood out. I mean, these things were just, the spots were all around the ear patch, yeah.
Your increasing understanding of bird anatomy really shows in these pages. That's exciting to see.
This was a pigeon. I used only two markers and one white pencil. So I used a white pencil and N89 and N35.
So you got your Tombows out?
Yeah, it just N89 just arrived.
Oh, fun! Oh, fun! That's exciting. That's really, really exciting to see.
We even have a Siberian iris growing in the park.
Oh, and you're not scared away from the complex shapes. This is neat. So everybody look at the sort of the color tests around the side of the paper to make sure that you get the color before you put it right down on the paper there. And those the petals closer to us, lots of detail. I really am getting a sense of volume and shape in that. That's exciting. Thank you.
Thank you. And I told you last week I would have some
The
relativity,
relativity, yes.
if you might. But this is a different region of relativity, nothing to do with time, but the fate of the universe.
Ah, so are you thinking that we are going to return to a singularity or continuously expand into?
There are a few theories. I've put all of them down.
Oh, fantastic.
And now, my favorite one is the Big Rip. Okay, now just to explain, I didn't finish the sketch note, but I can tell you all the things. Yeah, so the dark energy, there's a force called dark energy, and that makes the universe expand. If dark energy tails away, the universe won't stop because there's no friction. It'll just slow down and expand forever. But if dark energy increases, now the Big Rip, dark energy increases in such an immediate way that it will just rip everything apart. Even time would stop. And so if you were at the Big Rip 40 billion years in the future, and 60 million years before the end, we're on a new solar system. Our sun has died, so we're on a new one. Outer planets are, the galaxy starts shaking. A month before the end, the outer planets are flung out. Then we too are flung out from our sun. The sun explodes. We explode. And
so we are able to, what causes us to be able to escape the gravity well of the sun?
the dark energy increases so much that the universe just pushes everything out and rips it. And sadly, we will never see the splitting of atoms, which is the great bit. Atoms and photons will split, and the universe has ended.
And scene.
Yeah. So then there's a really, now when dark energy increases in such a way, it is called phantom energy. If dark energy turns into phantom energy, one thing may stop it: the wormhole. A wormhole. This is so cool. A wormhole will feed on the phantom energy, and it'll get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and swallow the whole universe and takes it somewhere. The big trip.
This visualization that you've created here is really dynamic and exciting. It's neat to think about these ideas, and then it's also cool to think about how can you take an idea like that and try to represent that in a diagram.
Okay, go on.
No, it's just sort of that the visualization of ideas, sort of doing the best we can to, you take some idea, like, how would I, even sort of show expanding universe and an interaction with my wormhole. By trying to do that on the piece of paper, it forces our brains to think in ways that we otherwise would not think.
I don't want to stop anyone else from sharing, but my other favorite is the bouncing universe that has never had a beginning or end. It may have an end, however. If it ends in a big crunch, in a bouncing universe, miraculously, black holes will survive and they will swallow the universe.
You know, I've never heard of the Big Crunch. That's really cool. I'll have I mean, the bouncing universe, or the Big Crunch. So that'll be something for me to explore. Thank you so much for sharing this.
Thank you. I'll share the rest next week.
Excellent. And we want to see the continuation of your sketch notes as you continue to explore relativity.
Yeah, thanks.
Challenge out to all the other folks in the Nature Journal Club. If there's something you are studying and you don't think that you could be able to put that into visual notes, try it anyway. And see what that does to your way of thinking about whatever you're studying. I'm going to jump over to our gallery view. And if there's anybody else that would like to share something, please just hold it up to your screen and we will highlight your screen. Should we jump over to the Schoen family? Maybe join you? Hi there, and welcome to the Nature Journal workshop.
Say hello.
Hi.
It's right up there. Hold it up. There you go.
This one is about a squirrel. This one I did a little while ago, but I just thought this is my favorite one in the book. So down here,
What were you looking at and where was it?
like I was looking at the squirrel on the porch, and I never seen like a squirrel stay on our porch like that for so long.
Oh, interesting. That's cool. So this was a squirrel that was out there on your porch. How long was it out there on your porch?
I don't know.
Well, you didn't record that.
Like 20 minutes or something like that.
Oh, that's interesting. I wonder what it was up to there. And so you've made a set of storyboards, little frames showing the different behaviors of what was going on there.
Yeah, and actually, I think it was drinking because this bucket was full of water and it was like hunched over it at one point, and I think it was drinking, like you could see right here.
Yes, yeah.
And I also have in these little boxes the numbers to show like which one you look at first, and then the next one, and the next, and the next. And actually, I didn't know how like far a squirrel could jump and like how fast it could move on the ground. And it moved to a different tree very quickly on the ground. I don't know why, but it climbed down the tree that it was on and ran on the ground to the next tree.
So it kind of was slow on the tree, but when it hit the ground, it went as fast as it could?
Yeah, it went like two jumps, like, and it was there at the tree.
Wow. That makes me wonder if being out on the ground is more dangerous for a squirrel than being on a tree. And so it's trying to get from tree to tree as quickly as it can. I wonder if that is the case. It'd be interesting to see if you see that that similar behavior in at other times.
Yeah.
I like how you are making observations and asking questions about what you are seeing. What was one of the most interesting questions that occurred to you when you were out there?
Probably why it didn't just like jump to the next tree, like not just like not go down. I was wondering like why it didn't like just jump.
So it could have done a tree to tree transfer, but instead it went down, then scampered across the ground, and then up the other one.
Yeah.
So the upper branches were close enough that it could have maybe jumped from tree to tree?
Well, I don't know. I don't really know how far a squirrel can jump.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it seemed like it could.
That's a really interesting question. So if it's scared of being on the ground, why not? Yeah, that would be an argument against my guess of maybe it's scared of being on the ground there. If it could easily do a tree to tree transfer, that's really interesting. What a great set of observations and mysteries you have uncovered here.
Thank you. Then I did this one a while ago. So and also I didn't know if it was a girl or a boy. So down here, I wrote I don't know if it's a girl or a boy.
Yeah, I have a hard time telling that on squirrels as well. Sometimes you can tell, but most often you're looking at the back of the squirrel, you've got a big fluffy tail, you're definitely a squirrel, and I have no idea.
Yeah.
That's cool. Thank you so much for sharing those observations and questions with us. That sort of nature observation is exactly what we want to sort of train ourselves to do. And I like the way you're putting all of those together, those pictures, those words, you're adding questions into your journal. That is really good example of nature journaling.
Thank you.
A request, would you feel comfortable making a scan or a photograph of that page and emailing it to me if you'd feel comfortable with me putting that possibly into a project I'm working on?
Would you like
Sure.
that? Yeah, you could do that.
I would really appreciate that. And just along with perhaps would you feel comfortable if I included that in a publication, putting your first name with it?
Sure.
That's fine. With
Okay.
that. Thank you.
First name and your age, maybe include that in the notes with it, and that would help me. And I might be able to share that in a project that I've got sort of cooking on my end.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you sharing those observations and your way of exploring. That's great. Look forward to more adventures on your front porch.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. And the people in the community are saying they love those magnets on your refrigerator. That map. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to jump back to my gallery view and see if there is anyone else that would like to share something. Let's join. My friend Jack. Hey there. Good to see you.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay. So I was out. I've been doing a lot of stuff with my microscope. So I did this mushroom I found on this dead sumac tree.
Oh, this is interesting. So tell me more. Yeah. Tell us about this.
So I didn't see it, but my mom was trimming. I think she was like mulching out front, and she found this dead branch, and it had all these little like really hard, like if you try to squeeze them, they won't break, mushrooms like embedded on the wood, and there were lots of them. So, and she showed it to me, so I just thought, no, I'm gonna put this in my journal. So I wrote it down and did a this is regular, and this is under my microscope, and it was really cool.
That is cool. So what so under the microscope, there are little projections that are coming out from it.
Uh-huh.
That's so strange. And it is so hard. You squeeze it with your fingers. It doesn't break. Wonder what these are. That's so interesting.
Because with mushrooms I find on the ground, you can, if you step on them, they just squish and break.
Yeah. But these ones, they're hard as like little stones.
Mm-hmm.
That is cool. Hey,
And the same,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
and the same evening, the moon was out the same time the sun was, which was interesting. So I started a phases of the moon thing. So like each day I go out and draw the moon. So I should in like a week or two have all the phases of the moon.
Oh, that is cool. That is neat. Are you going out at the same time of the day?
I aim to. Mm-hmm.
All right. That's neat. So it would be something that might also be really interesting to add to that is, I like how you're putting in the phases of the moon, but you can also get how high, especially if you're going out at the same time of the day. I would put what time you're making your observations, and check out this technique. I'm going to sort of join you here on the screen and spotlight. So what I'll do is, let's say the moon is up there, is I will use my fists to measure how high the moon is. So I'll take my fist and I'll put it on the bottom of my fist on the horizon, like that. And then I'll take my other hand and go like that, and like I'm going whoop, whoop, whoop. And I'll measure how many of with my arms straight, how many fists the moon is high in the sky. And so you also will probably, there may be a change in the height of the moon as you're getting that phase change too. That would be really, really cool to see, Jack. So I want to encourage you to see, I'd love to see this moon chart, and you can even add in how many, when you're doing this fists up thing, you could say that it is, 5 fists up, but usually for us, every fist is about what the science is called 10 degrees. If we took the entire circle around us, that would be 360 degrees. So 10 degrees, 20 degrees, 30 degrees, 40 degrees. You can write in how many degrees above the horizon the moon is. And that would be a cool addition to this. I hope you get to see the eclipse tonight, Jack. Are you going to be able to?
Yeah, about that. What time is that?
So, my time here on the Pacific, what state do you live in?
Maryland.
All right. So I'm going to ask somebody who's online right now, do a search. Let's find out what time, Jack, in Maryland. What is the maximum of the eclipse? When does it? We're interested in when it starts and when it's the maximum. So we're going to outsource this one. Get somebody to look that up. And have you ever seen a lunar eclipse before? Oh, okay. So no spoilers. No spoilers here. I'm not going to tell you what's going to happen. It's cool. It's cool. And I'd love to see your notes of it. So some folks are going to look this up for us, and they're going to get to us when that is. Totality will be at 7:11 a.m. Eastern time. Ooh, so that the sun might be up by then. That's interesting. Let's see if I'm going to do a search here. Somebody else is saying that in Baltimore, they're getting it at 5:47 in the morning. The moon will be close to the horizon at that time. I am going to, let's see, what time is twilight? Maybe somebody look up in Maryland, what time is twilight on the East Coast tomorrow? It's amazing that all this stuff, we can get all this stuff online. Right. So here it is. So at 7:47 a.m., it begins with a peak at 5:45 a.m. and an end at 5:48. 4:47 a.m. So 4:47 a.m. is going to be the start of it. So that's, I mean, I would suggest going to sleep early. Then set a clock, and when it goes off, you're not going to want to get out of bed. But then you think, man, there's some cool science thing happening in the sky right now. Oh man, I got to get on that. And bundle yourself up nice and warm. I would tell your parents that something that helps with eclipse watching is a cup of hot cocoa. And so that just kind of helps you kind of keep warm, and it can be a bonus thing for watching an eclipse. And then we can check that out.
And I have one more page.
I'd love to see it.
I was doing this flower and I saw all these three red-shouldered hawks just screeching.
Oh. Yeah, they really have that high pitch. Oh, that's neat. I like the way you've also sort of describing the angles of the wing, in flight there. Sort of good. That's very well observed wing shape and angles on our red-shouldered hawk here. Yeah, high-pitched squeaks. The red tail, you've got that kind of classic big loud hawk noise. But then with a red-shouldered hawk, it's this. Oh, that's cool. That's really neat. So look at this. So everybody, take notice of some strategies that Jack is using here. You've got, so Jack is using all the senses, describing what something smells like. Also really actively using the I notice, I wonder, it reminds me of prompts. You'll see the IN, those are I notices. Other pages you'll see IRMO or IWs for I wonders. So being really deliberate about asking questions, making connections. And look at those questions on the right-hand side there. You're seeing what we call a question chain. A question chain. You start with one question, and that prompts you to ask the next question, and then the other question behind that. So you've got the question that's behind the question behind the question. That allows us to get, you don't even have to answer your first question to get a more sophisticated, interesting question. So Jack's using question chains, and we're also seeing the three languages right here on this page: words, pictures, and numbers. So Jack's counting flowers. Jack is measuring things. So you've got the pictures, you've got measurements, you've got counting going on, you've got words. We're seeing questions, we're seeing observations, all this sort of stuff. Some really useful nature journaling strategies happening here on the page. I just want to point those out for everybody. Bookmark those in your brain. I want to encourage, you'll find that your own thinking improves when you use these same strategies. Jack, that's really cool to see. All right.
Oh, and one more question. Where can you find, like, how can you watch these videos once the video is over? because it's recording.
Oh, yeah. So we're putting them up on my website. I've gotten kind of behind on it. And Avea, the next time you see her, give her a big thanks. She's stepped up and is helping me actually process these. And so they're going up both on YouTube and also on johnmuirlaws.com. So you'll be able to see these. Brian Higginbotham has just put into the chat the link for the blog there. And if you check out also on my website, go to where it says blog and to the blog archives, you can see them in categories of like all the bird drawing ones are together, all the landscape drawing ones are together, all the mammal drawing ones are together. That'll be fun.
Thank you.
Absolutely. But yeah, we're trying to get those up for you. Let me jump over to gallery view. I saw that Ann Chadwick had something to share. So Ann Chadwick from Point Blue Conservation Scientist. And it's good to see you.
Good to see you too. What a fun class. And great to see all the young people getting totally into nature and journaling. And so I was lucky enough to meet Aisha for the first time. We went to Schellenberger Marsh in Petaluma, and we saw lots of ducks and geese and wonderful birds, but we also saw these jackrabbits. And there were a bunch of them running around this field. And I think some of them were young, maybe siblings that were jumping around. And what really stood out to us was this white ring around their eyes and really translucent, huge ears. And most of them had some kind of a notch in the ear. That just seemed to be a consistent feature. So that was fun. And I got Tombow Pens on the way home.
Those giant ears are so much fun. Did you ever get to see them with the sunlight coming through the ears where the sun is behind them?
Yes, that's kind of what this is, where you can actually see like the veins in the ear. Yeah.
The blood vessels in the ear. So yeah, with the backlit jackrabbit is a crazy thing. And you just imagine, so really vascularized. This is an adaptation that also helps it shed heat. So you don't find the jackrabbits in places that get as cold because you just get frostbitten ears.
Oh.
And the jackrabbit has a big range extension into really hot places because those large ears also act as a radiator. Up in colder places, say as we go up into the Sierra near you, you run into snowshoe hares and things. They've got much smaller ears and bigger feet.
And bigger feet, because they're snowshoes.
That's right.
And so on the way home from that outing, I stopped and got some Tombow Pens because Ivea had talked about hers. And so, and here they are. I just did that after I saw Ivea's little swatches. And I was messing with some other pictures that I did yesterday at the marsh. I think I kind of messed this one up because these Tombows are not as transparent as I thought they would be. So anyway, this little, these are mute swans, and there were actually 5 cygnets, and they were so cute, but, and they had little stubby wings, and they'd put, when they're on the water, their little back foot would come up onto their back and kind of stick down at a funny angle. So that was fun. And I also want, sorry?
Those Tombows are so fast, aren't they?
They are, I know. So, I mean, like right now, it's the first time I've played with them. So I'll get better, but very fun. Also, I'm going to be hosting the Point Blue annual meeting, and it's a members meeting. So if you're a member, be sure to tune in because they asked me to talk about nature journaling and kind of that connection between conservation science and art. So it's a really short segment of the whole annual meeting, but if you're a member, please sign up and tune in. It'll be next Wednesday, June 2nd at I think 6 o'clock. And final announcement is Sunday is my birthday. And I'm following the tradition of let's all go out and do some stewardship and cleanup and do good things for the earth on May 30th, please.
Oh, that's really cool. So what May 30th, what day of the week is that?
It's this Sunday, May 30th.
Oh, that is really cool. So this Sunday, what am I doing? All right. And check in with me later on. I'm going to try to get my daughters out to do a It's Anne's birthday cleanup. That's terrific.
Thank you.
And for people who don't know about Point Blue Conservation Science, really amazing bird research organization. And they do a lot of stewardship, conservation, and education. I'm trying to find on your website where to become a member.
Ah, there must be one that just says donate up on the top.
There is one that says donate. All right. So
yeah.
Got that. I'm going to put that into the chat. Anybody who's interested in becoming a member, you can probably find it somewhere in there. And that supports conservation and science, and then you also get to see Anne's presentation, as well as the be kept abreast of the different projects that Point Blue has going on. You also, we will be doing more nature journaling workshops in cooperation with the Point Blue scientists, and that will be coming up, so look for those. We really appreciate and respect the research that you and your team are doing that allows us to make management decisions based on science.
Great. Thank you so much. And I'll be mentioning you, Jack, in my presentation. I'll say good things. So,
well, thank you, Anne.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for all the birthday wishes, everybody.
Happy birthday, Anne. So remember, everybody, Sunday. So again, Nature Journal Club, we've got this routine which we do on our birthdays. We go out, and part of our celebration is we go out and we make a little piece of the earth a little bit cleaner and better than it was before. And we also often do that to celebrate our friends. So when it's your birthday, let us know. And anybody who can come out to celebrate Anne's birthday by doing a little stewardship project somewhere in your neck of the woods, that just makes the planet a little bit better. I see Ray Brandt Ponto's got a hand up, and I am going to bring you back in. Hey there.
I just got reminded on Wednesday, tomorrow, it's my dad's birthday.
Arpan, it's your birthday?
He isn't here, but it is.
Oh. Well, please tell Arpan happy birthday from all of us. That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Happy birthday, Anne.
And happy birthday, Arpan. Happy birthday, Anne. That's really fun. I'm jumping back to my gallery view. If there's anybody else who would like to share a journal page, comments, thoughts, or ideas, let's jump over to Tracy. Hi there, Tracy. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing all right today. So I get to see these guys from my window. I have this great viewing spot of a pond where people come, animals come. Animals are people to me too. So this red-winged blackbird, I don't know if the egret was close to the nest or if they like, they just get protective, but this little red-winged blackbird kept buzzing this egret as it sat on this branch, and that was fun to watch. And then I was just trying to capture that neck shape and head forward, head backwards. They move around so much, you just Like I felt like I was hopped from one sketch to another, like, oh, his head's back like this. Let me draw that again. And
that's exactly the strategy to take. So everybody notice how, so Tracy is bouncing from one view to the next, to the next, to the next. And some of these, you'll just see them for a moment, you know, and if you are saying to yourself, I have to just, I'm going to wait till it comes back to a pose that I've already started, you'll only have one drawing. You'll spend most of your time waiting. Somehow they can tell when they're trying to get you to come, when they're trying to get them to come back to a pose. They never come back to it. But now it's pointing towards me. So I'm going to draw the pointing towards me. Now it's pointing away. Look at that pointing away with just a little bit of a foreshortened beat. Something like that, you know that somebody's a field sketcher. You only sort of get those sort of moments by just spending your time in the field and doing it again and again and again. And isn't that fun, punching in a little bit of that blue turquoise color behind those birds? Isn't that fun when you do it? Because the white egret then pops out of the page.
yeah, I didn't have the color with me initially, so it's like I just tried to get the shape, but I couldn't even tell if I was doing a good job of it till I colored you know, the background in more. And I was like, yeah, it's popping, it's there. I also we had a little visitor to our yard, and we may have turtle eggs. I'm going to go back out there today, but this little painted turtle was digging. We have a small depression, and I kind of remember that they like to lay eggs on a hill where they can the eggs into their clutch. We dig a hole. So I saw it from the window, and we went and looked, and she was digging. I mean, I don't know if it's a girl for sure, but the turtle was digging, and then it left after a while. You know, it was on the little dirt pile, and so maybe we have eggs. We have a pond nearby, so we have habitat. So we'll see. Great. It was yesterday, so now maybe I can look up how long the eggs are and
yes.
take.
Wouldn't that be fascinating to see how long does it, you know?
Yeah.
How long would a turtle egg take to
I think they have a range because I think it gets temperature related a bit, but I'm not sure.
That's fun.
Yeah, how long for painted turtle eggs?
Wow. Yeah, and so then also recording the evidence of that little mound. Then the next time you see a little mound like that, you'll say, like, I know what painted turtle nest mounds look like.
Right.
I've got this documentation of it here. And it just sort of, all of a sudden you'll be walking around and you look down like, oh yeah, there's a little turtle mound. There's a little turtle mound. Because when you see the turtle on it, if you came out later and there's a little mound like that, you're like, what on earth was this? But knowing that it's a turtle, you can then take notes on the turtle mound. And then the next time you see that same structure, you're like, oh, I know what's going on here. That's great.
Thank you.
All right. I am now going to turn off the camera here, the recording. Before I do, I just want to thank everybody for being here. I hope you enjoyed this workshop. I hope you enjoyed having a chance to meet here with some of the members of our community. And thank you all so much for sharing and being with us. Stay safe, be kind. Let's go out and play in nature. Take care of each other and this amazing planet that we share together.